Attention, please! Give! Fire! 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 Give fire! 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 Fire!
The first time I shot a black powder piece, I guess I was still in high school. It's a little scary because you've got that fire going off right in your face. But obviously you get over it and get used to it, and some of us are addicted to that. I fired modern firearms, and a modern firearm doesn't have a soul. And all of these pieces are a little different, and they all have some kind of personality to them.
The School of the Musketeer is a living history encampment centered on the 17th century English Civil War. The event, presented every spring by the Jersey troupe, the Kingdom of Lucerne, features military workshops with muskets and cannons, as well as lessons in cooking and sewing circa the 1600s. In the movies, musketeers are usually depicted as sword-wielding noblemen. But English Civil War soldiers fought with black powder guns and seldom used their swords on the battlefield.
The biggest misconception with musketeers is that their weapon was a rapier, and in their title, it's a musket. They're the musketeers.
How warfare was conducted was changed, and how they fought changed from a lot of the old ways. The knights, people charging at each other, you know, the nobles fighting on horseback versus other nobles on horseback. The thing the musket did was made a nobleman, trained his whole life in horsemanship, wearing steel armor, he's on his horse, he's leading his troop, is killed by a man who was digging in the dirt yesterday. It brought immortality to the ruling class. And once the underclass got a taste of that power, everything changed.
It was considered totally allowable for a mass of people to fire at another mass of people, because back then they considered it God's will who would win. You're not aiming. If you were aiming at a person, it was considered murder. The only people that would aim would be, just like we have in modern military, would be a sniper, and they were considered the lowest form of the military. They were very frowned upon.
The Kingdom of Lucerne hosts the weekend of musketry at Fort Mifflin, a Revolutionary War landmark on the Philadelphia side of the Delaware River, right next to the airport.
There was one time someone asked, why did they put the fort so close to the airport? And we said, just to drop down supplies.
Of course, the airplanes are probably the only downside to the fort.
Sometimes we'll come up with something a little funny or witty, like, oh, well, it was easier to import the guns from Europe that way. And they'll look at you and they're like, oh, okay. And then you see that they kind of realize what they just asked you. And they're like, wait, there were no planes back then.